Do you ever feel like building a business online is the equivalent of like being on a hamster wheel from hell? Like you're moving, but you just aren't getting anywhere. If that's you, you're gonna wanna stick around, and hey, I totally get it. I've been building a business online since 2011, and those first 4 years were brutal. That's why in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing my 7 best success tips for mompreneurs. So if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and just make sure that you click the bell so you get notified when I put out new videos every single week. Stay tuned. Now, the very first tip that I'm going to give you is to find your one thing. Now, this is going to be especially true if you feel like you get easily distracted and you kind of have that squirrel mentality to where you're like jumping from place to place to place. And listen, I totally get it. Back when I first started building my business for those first 4 years, every time I turned around, there was somebody telling me, hey, you need to go build on this, or you need to be doing webinars, or you need to hop over to LinkedIn because that's where it's at, or you need to get on Instagram. I totally get it. And that is like the worst advice that I took, is trying to spread myself too thin. And I kind of feel like that's been the story of my life. Like growing up, I, was an athlete. I played soccer, I played tennis, I cheered, I was in all these different activities and sports, even going into college. And I always felt like I was mediocre in a lot of things, and let me know like if you kind of feel this way as well. But it was like I was always mediocre at everything and never great at anything, and that's because I didn't narrow my focus. Now, when it comes to my business, content is everything. That is the main driving force, my main action that I know that I am going to take to attract my ideal customer to me, and it's where I feel like I can have one of the greater impacts. And therefore, up to this point, putting out content consistently, it's mainly been on Facebook. Now, I do have almost 300 videos to date as of, the taping of this actual video up on YouTube, but they weren't really optimized. And therefore, in 2019 and beyond, I'm really shifting that focus to learn everything that I can about YouTube to make sure when I'm putting out this content each and every week that it's fully optimized so that I can get discovered, right? So maybe your focus is something else, but just narrow that focus down. The more that you can narrow it down, because it's not about doing more, it's about being more intentional and doing less, but making sure that it's like actions that's going to actually move your business forward. Now, if you feel like you could use a little help when it comes to it, like narrowing down those priorities because you're not sure like what you should be focusing on first, second, third, like I totally get it, because there's a million ways to build a business online. Now, if that's you, I am going to put a link in the description below, and it's going to be to my mom's survival guide. And in this survival guide, it's a 20-page workbook that the first part of it really goes into you discovering and helping you discover what your priorities are. The second part of it is taking control of your calendar. The third part is then creating content that's going to attract that ideal customer to you. So if you need a little help, be sure to check the description and the links at any time during this video for anything that I mention and things that maybe I don't mention that I don't want to leave out. Now, the second success tip that I'm going to give you, and this is really big when it comes to your social media presence, and that is to make sure that you have one home on social media. Make one social media platform the platform like your actual home. You want to think of social media like, you have one main home that you live in, but then also, this is a great analogy I heard, you may have other vacation homes that you visit, but you don't live there on a continuous basis. Now, this was a huge mistake again that I made in the beginning, because I tried to be on all of the social media platforms, and here's the deal. They all speak a different language. What works on one does not work on the other. And just when it comes to marketing your business, the way I would market, let's say if you're in network marketing, the way I would promote a network marketing business on Facebook is very different. There are some very different tactics and strategies that I would do on Facebook that would be totally different than how maybe I would market it on YouTube, which is an actual search engine. And I've seen a lot of people, because Facebook has been the main platform that I have taught tutorials skills on, and it's the one that I've focused on for several years. And I see a lot of people, even when it comes to like putting up stories, they're on Instagram, and Instagram has the swipe up feature. So, you know, if you have 10,000 followers or more on Instagram, you can put up stories and you can use the swipe up feature where you can link to, you know, different places. And I have seen several people on Facebook, I'll check the stories, and they're posting those same Instagram stories on their Facebook stories when Facebook doesn't have the swipe up feature. And so just know that when you do that, that's why I say every platform, you know, speaks a different language, because it just will make you look like you don't know what you're doing. So, you know, get really good at mastering like one platform. Get to where you're generating leads before moving over and adding in another platform, unless you have like some type of social media manager. Let's say, you know, maybe you don't have the extra time to learn, but, you know, hiring a social media manager could be an option for you, to where, you know, they know the platform really well and they know how to create content that really aligns with your brand. That could be an option. Now, if you do plan on having 2 social media platforms, I also would suggest, you know, having one, just whatever platform you want, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but then the second one, having it as a search engine. Now, YouTube and Pinterest are the 2 social media like search engines right now. And that's why with me, you know, the main focus is YouTube and Facebook. Now, I also have a presence on Pinterest, but, you know, I just kind of use it for content ideas, and I use it just for just boards for myself. But I couldn't tell you how to generate leads or really monetize on Pinterest, because I haven't taken the time to really learn the ins and outs of how that platform works. Now, moving on to the 3rd success tip, and that is to identify your brand. Now, I think this is absolutely one of the foundational pieces that can make or break you when it comes to generating leads, having people like reaching out to you, wanting, you know, what it is that you have to offer. Now, when I first got started for those first 4 years, again, I was a spammer and I did not even know what branding was, okay? Now, branding in a nutshell is basically like the most simplest terms is getting known for like one thing, and just asking yourself, like, when somebody says your name, what do you want them to think of? Do you want to think of as, you know, be thought of as that beauty go-to, or that skincare person? If somebody's like breaking out on their face, do you want them to think of you? Or maybe, you know, you want people to think of you when it comes to losing weight and getting healthier, or building a presence online. Whatever the case may be, narrowing down your brand is a huge, critical, foundational piece that can really set you up for success. Now, I remember when I first heard the term branding, and it was, you know, in 2015, I was at the time with a skincare network marketing company, and I remember learning about attraction marketing, and so I was posting tips. Like every day, I would post like one skincare tip, and then I would post a business tip, and after a few months, I was just like, hey, I mean, am I missing something? Like something doesn't make sense, and nobody's really coming to me. And the problem was, I was trying to be known for like way too many things. Truth is, I was bouncing around like a fart in a hot skillet, confusing the heck out of my audience. So definitely don't be that girl. Now, I will tell you, once I actually picked a lane and decided, hey, this is the route that I was going to go, after a while, that's when I was able to start gaining some traction in my business and start, you know, getting people coming to me. The same goes for you. Now, a pro tip here is to don't overthink it. Just pick a lane. What niche do you want to be known for? What industry do you want to be, you know, like in? And then as you go along, your brand is going to evolve just as you evolve, and that is completely okay. Your business and your brand may look totally different a year from now, but the point is to get clarity and to get known for one thing. Now, moving on to the 4th success tip, and that is building an email list. And I know that it can feel like a little just like foreign and Greek when you're first starting out, and it absolutely was to me. I seriously thought building an email list when I first heard the term was adding a bunch of contacts to my Yahoo email and like mass sending out like messages. I had no clue what an autoresponder meant. I had no clue what a opt-in page was. But here's the deal when it comes to an email list. When you're building an online business, there's one of 2 things that you actually own and control. One of those is an email list. The second is a website. Now, I think building an email list is definitely a foundational piece to creating, long-term success in your business, because the reality is you don't own the social media platforms that you're building on. So you don't own your account on Facebook, you don't own your account on YouTube, neither do I. And in all honesty, we could get our account shut down at any time. I've known lots of people over the years who have gotten their ads account shut down on Facebook, who have gotten their profile shut down on Facebook for whatever reason. I've known lots of people who have gotten their YouTube channel shut down. And so what happens if you build this audience and then all of it goes away because, again, you don't own the platform? Now, when you're building an email list, those are highly qualified leads, people who have raised their hand wanting to know more about what it is that you do. They're wanting help from you, and therefore you own that list. And so no matter where you go or what you do, you always have that list. Now, if you don't know how to build an email list, then I'll put a link below to my free group. I do have a free community on Facebook called Back to the Basics Community. And in there, I've got in the unit section just how to set up a basic newsletter. There are a couple of tools that you will need. So if you don't have those, I'll put trials and everything below in there. And then you can just hop into that free community and go through the videos. There's step-by-step tutorials. You can have an email list set up and ready to go in as little as a day. Now, I'm also thinking about putting those videos up on my YouTube channel. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you would like. I know there's a lot of people who have been asking how to do it, and so I might think about doing that as well. But let's go ahead and move on to the next success tip, which is identifying your target market. Now, here's the deal. You may think that you have the greatest product in the world and it is the greatest opportunity, and you know that it could help like everybody if they would just listen to you. But the truth is not everybody cares. And when you're out there and you are marketing to everybody, what often happens is you end up attracting nobody. There's no real connection to you. So when it comes to your target audience, I want you to really think about who is your ideal customer that you would love to work with. How old are they? Are they male or female? Are they married? Are they not married? What are their hobbies? What is their biggest struggle? What is their biggest pain point right now? Because once you know that and you have that person on the forefront, at the forefront of your mind all the time, you can go out and start creating content that's really going to speak to them. And that is exactly how that you're going to build rapport a lot faster. You're going to build that know, like, and trust factor. And to me, I ultimately think that that's how people will finally, have that feeling of, man, I feel like this person is talking to me. So overall, identifying and having that person at the top of your mind whenever you're creating any type of content is going to allow you overall to just build a deeper connection. Once you've identified who your ideal customer is, we're going to move on to the sixth success tip, and that is focusing on their problem. Here's the deal. Everybody is looking for a transformation. Everybody's looking for change. Everybody is looking to grow, to get better. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a setting, in a group of people, and they've all been chatting and you just hadn't really been paying attention, hadn't really noticed, and then you hear some word or some phrase and it makes your ears just perk up and listen? Maybe it's you've been in a group and somebody said, hey, I lost 20 pounds, and you're your ears perk up because that's a problem that you have. Maybe you want to lose a little bit of weight, or maybe you're sitting here and you've got you want to get clearer skin, and you hear somebody talk about a problem that they have, which just so happens to be the same problem you have, and how they got results. And again, it makes your ears perk up. Here's the hard truth. People do not care about your problems. They do not care about how much success that you've had. They don't care about how many signups you get or how many sales that you get, but what they do care about is their problem. And when you're focusing on their problem, that is what is going to make people actually pay attention to you. And that tied into helping them solve whatever problem they have, that's a recipe for success. And for the longest time, I see a lot of people who are just so focused on putting up these pitchy or spammy posts on social media, and it's all geared towards them, and yet they wonder why nobody's taking action, why nobody's engaging. And again, it comes down to they're too focused on themselves. And, you know, so when you switch that focus and constantly have like, hey, you know, what problem does that ideal customer have? And what tips can I give them that's going to help them solve a problem? That's what's going to attract them to you. And I'm curious to know, let me know in the comments, you know, what is the main problem that you help people solve? Last but not least, we're down to our last one, and this is my biggest success tip, okay? That is tap into some type of community. Get some type of an accountability partner, some type of mentor, a coach who can help you, because I was alone. Like, I felt so alone for so many years. You know, nobody around me, nobody else in my family was really building an online business. And it, again, got really lonely. And I felt just like I was out there just doing it by myself. And once I was able to actually tap in and, you know, have somebody who was in the same situation as me, it really helped me through a lot of those hard times that I faced and those failures that I faced. Like, because again, building a business is not easy. I've hired coaches, I've hired, you know, mentors, I've went to events, like anything that I could do. You know, it's like that saying, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. Well, that's why hiring a coach or having a mentor or tapping into a community can make such a dramatic shift in your business, because you have other people looking, you know, on the outside looking in, who can give you advice that maybe you can't see. So there you have it. Those are my success tips. Those are 7 things that I totally wish I would have known when I got started. I feel like I would have shaved off so much time and I wouldn't have spammed for so long on social media. So I'm hoping that you can really cut your learning curve. And the question of the day is really to let me know below which one of these that you are planning to implement in 2019 and beyond. As always, everything that I've chatted about, talked about, and more is going to be below in the description, and I will see you back here next week for another video. Bye for now.